Hello, welcome back for another movie review. I'm Rita, ready, set, go! Here is a lifestyle channel. We're going to talk about mostly like the arts, content, and things that are off the beaten path. And particularly, I love independent films and I love movies. So anything dealing with that genre, I get totally excited. And so I want to start this. We're going to review Premature, an independent film I recently streamed off of Amazon Prime. And I want to read you some lyrics from Jill Scott, the song Insomnia, so you can understand pretty much the gist of the movie. And it's the very last verse of the song. It goes, I never even wanted to be this chick, of the readily dissolving remnant of it. After being chased, I've been dismissed as just an object, something to play with. You have managed to turn me, a woman of substance, into this. And so she was basically talking about in the song how she went from being this brilliant woman to brick flying, cussing a dude out type of chick. And this movie gives you the very first start within the early life of a young girl of how this conversation starts for women. So let me get my notes out so we can go into what the movie, some of the particulars about the movie. So this is a 2019 American romantic drama film directed by Rashad Ernesto Green and written by Zora Howard and Green. The main characters are Zora Howard and Joshua Boone. Those are the two main characters that the film focused on. They were Ayanna and Isaiah. Very great names. And I really enjoyed this movie. And for me, it is a total 5 out of 5. And the reason why it is a 5 out of 5 is because of the nature of the movie. Does seem very familiar. Like I've been here before, but it gives you a whole new texture for what the content is, all new texture. So what does that mean? The film feels like velvet. It's smooth, it's silky. But since it's summertime, I'm going to say a fresh new cotton tee, walking around in your new Air Force Ones or your new tennis shoes. In my case, it would be a new pair of Air Max. And so it took me back to being 17 again, or a young adult. I initially didn't know that they were 17. I just thought they were young adults. And it's basically taking place during that gray area where you're transitioning from a young adult into an actual adult. That gray area, and when you think of the gray areas, think about the time where you turn into an adult. So for me, it's that this movie for me would have been that summer before I would have went off to college. For someone else, they may be that summer before they went off to the military, or that summer before you got married, or that summer before you had your first child. So it's that summer right before you realize that you are grown. And so what we're doing, we're following Ayanna as she's gallivanting in New York, from Brooklyn to Manhattan on the subway with her friends, having a good time cussing. Yes, when you were 17 years old, baby, honey, you was streaming words together trying to cuss and figure things out like you was an adult. And so they were catcalling with guys on the subway. She said, are you hungry? To one guy, because you keep looking at us hungry. So of course in my mind I was immediately sucked in. Does it do a great job of providing an environment to where you feel like you're part of the actual conversation? Absolutely. I feel like I was 17 years old in Harlem, in Brooklyn, in the midst and the crux of everything that was happening. So then you fast forward to they're in the park watching the fellas play basketball. You know it's probably smell like testosterone out there. And so they're watching individuals play, and that's when Ayanna sees Isaiah playing basketball for the first time, and they had that look. But what I do like is that Ayanna wasn't necessarily stunting him. When I say not stunting him, wasn't paying him no, never mind. She was going about her life, going through her everyday, going to the laundromat, so on and so forth. Isaiah was actually pursuing her, which is important as you're moving forward in this movie. So then I'm just going to fast forward through some things you learn very quickly, that Ayanna is very reflective. She's into the poetry. She's into words. And we learned that Isaiah is into music, which is rightfully so, due to his past with his father being very big into jazz. He felt that his father left that for him. So then you move forward, they go on their first, I guess, day. They kind of just do some walking around the city, having, a teenage day. And this right here illustrates when people say that they don't go on dates because they can't afford it. That's not true. I if someone right now asked me to go on a $2 adventure like they had, getting a dollar hot dog and a dollar Slurpee and just enjoying each other's company, it is amazing. Your time fly by so quick whenever you are in the midst of good dialogue and good conversation. And so then we move forward and we're brought into the conversation, and the conversation that Isaiah has with Ayana is so deep, and it's so, it would be on a level of an adult conversation. Like, it's an old soul conversation. And then it moves forward with the introduction of Ayana's mother. I believe Ayana went home after the date, if I can remember correctly. And then she had an interaction with her mother, and her mother's boy, I don't even think it was a boyfriend, jump off. And so Ayana was on her way to the restroom. She bumped into this guy her mom is so-called seeing, and she was just like, forget it, I'm going to go back over Isaiah's house. And I'm thinking this may have been the second date. And so when she goes over to the Isaiah's house, what we learn is that she already got it mapped out in her mind that she's going to be intimate with Isaiah. So she goes ahead and proceeds to take off her clothes, like, let's just get this over with. Kind of, it felt more like, let's just go ahead and F and move forward. But Isaiah did not approach intimacy that way. He soothed and he soothed her body with his hands. Like, he knew what time it was. Like, it was just so sensual, and it was just so interesting that he decided to move in that route with pursuing her physically. He didn't just have sex with her. He actually touched her soul through their interaction. So that was just amazing to me to see at such a young age that he was already in a place as a male to move forward with touching a woman sensually in a way not only to just be inside of their body, but to be inside of their mind and also their soul. So I knew, because it was so early on, I knew that it was going to be content and contextual for upcoming events. And I'm not going to spoiler alert it, although I want to so bad. So then they move forward and they're having the best summer ever. They're going to event park, going to, what do you call those? They're going to parades in the street. They're having fun. They're kissing, they're hooking up, they're engaging in sexual activity, but it's not like gratuitous sex. It was literally like making love, and they're so young. And so it gets to a point, it becomes so serious that Ayana is now spending the night over Isaiah's, and it's becoming very serious to where she eventually has to make some very adult decisions. And I don't want to give away what those decisions are, but would I suggest this movie? Absolutely. The writers did very well with creating content that was very relevant to us, the viewer, with understanding what it's like to fall in love at an age that is so vital for who you are foundationally as an adult. So then you move forward with learning more about the friends and the friendships, and both male and female. What would I say about the overall moving forward with this particular independent film? Could this be a series? I would say absolutely. How it would look, I don't know. I don't know if, I think it could be kind of on the idea. I know that Ava DuVernay had Cherished the Day. I think it would be worth challenging creating content in a series where it's looking at different love at different ages and different types amongst those who live in Brooklyn. And the reason why I keep saying New York, because if it's already working for you, these directors and these writers have already mastered New York to the point where I was content and happy. If I say work to your strength. So maybe it would be a series directly about love amongst individuals living in the New York area. And it could be called whatever, I don't know if it would still be called Premature. I would say it could easily be some tutelage under Miss Ava DuVernay to have a conversation to see how to approach expanding this particular project into a series. Do I feel that the content evoked emotions? Absolutely. I felt happy. I felt sad. I felt disrupted. I know specifically there was a scene in which a visitor stopped by in which Isaiah had dated a young lady, and I guess he hadn't officially broken things up, and Ayana became very, when her legs started shaking nervously, I felt it. So I'm gonna say this about Zora. Zora Howard has mastered the ability to control her nonverbals and display them in a way words aren't necessary. Words weren't necessary for most of her dialogue, because she had mastered her body and her ability to communicate without words so elegantly. What else would I say? I knew that it was gonna be a disruption because it was so intense. I knew Ayana was gonna be caught up in the love rapture of Isaiah. Like, it was too intense too soon. And once you've been, like, for a woman, I can only speak to myself. Once things are that deep, it's hard to then go back to we was just kicking it. You have at this point seen inside my soul. So I hope individuals go out and see the movie. Let's check out what some of the reviews are saying and see if we agree with what was being said in the reviews. Let's see. So on Rotten Tomatoes, this film got 94%, which is awesome, and that's about right. And let me say this. The reason why the film seems familiar, because it, to me, put me back to the ode of Raising Victor Vargas. However, they are older age. And Victor Vargas, if we were looking at the racial connotations, dealt with more of a Dominican Republic or a Dominican or Puerto Rican cultured background. So you got to see the summer of young teens that are, from a specific culture. However, this one gives you the African American. So if that was happening in Queens or the Bronx, meanwhile here in Brooklyn and Harlem, this is what we doing. Someone said this was definitely a poignant coming of age film. I definitely agree. Someone said it's truly an independent film at its best. I definitely agree. To watch Ayana quietly think her way through each situation. Absolutely. She did that. Whether she's taking pleasure in a new experience or weighing the consequences of a difficult decision. And the thing is, she was doing a lot of that by herself. It's definitely a good movie about self-discovery and teenage love. But they seem so old, like old souls. Because there was one point where Ayana goes, you need to open your eyes. Don't you see what you got? I'm standing right here. And at 17, I would not have known to say that. So the fact that she was an old soul like that was something. And it said it offers a tender and evocative examination of contemporary relationships. Absolutely. So this definitely was a very good film. I do suggest you go watch it. Definitely would be a good date night and conversation pieces, or even a good girlfriend night, sipping wine and reflecting on when you were 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Shoot, in my mind, I'm still 21. All right, thanks for tuning in to Rita Ready, Set, Go. Feel free to forward this review on to friends, or subscribe and leave comments below. Let me know about any movies you would like for me to watch, and we'll keep moving forward.